Hello everyone and welcome back to Decode ISC. In our last few videos, we discussed the hardware aspect of our ISC syllabus from K-maps to logic gates. Now in this video, we are going to move on to the software aspect, that is our Java series. We're beginning our Java series from this video onwards. Now if you're someone that struggles with the very basics of Java, you're exactly in the right place, and let's get started. Now, when most beginners look at a Java code like this, for example, they get very intimidated. The reason being they see these very fancy, complicated words and they don't know what it means. Now, what I'm going to tell you to do is, because these are very important, that you have to use this specific format for your program to run. I'm going to tell you to memorize this for now. Ignore why they are there, what it means, etc. We will discuss them in the further videos. Right now, just remember this syntax. Always start with import java.util.* semicolon. Then class, and this is any name you want. Here, in this case, it's cars. You can give any other name you want. And then you open up your bracket, your parenthesis, and then you go with public static void main. Public static void main, and then string args. And then again, you open up your parenthesis, and this is going to be the body of this particular function. And this whole aspect, this whole part, whatever comes under between these two parentheses, is the body of your class. Now that might be a little confusing now, but just remember this exact format, and we will look into exactly how they come, what they do in the later videos. Now you might have heard of the statement that Java is an object-oriented programming language, an OOP. OOP. Now, what is an object-oriented programming language? To understand what an object-oriented programming language is, we need to understand what an object even means. Now, in programming terms, when I say an object, I mean an identifiable entity with specific characteristics and attributes. For example, look at this particular diagram. What do you see here? You see a Toyota car, right? And this car has a very specific characteristics. For example, it is gray in color, right? And it has 4 wheels. It also has certain behaviors. For example, it can brake, right? Or it can accelerate, right? These are the characteristics and these are the behaviors of this particular Toyota car. Now, in Java, what happens is when you create an object, when you're creating an object in Java, it allocates a specific memory space for it, right? In the memory of Java, it allocates a specific memory for the object that you created. And inside this memory space, it saves the characteristics and the behavior of that particular object. So in this case, if I say I'm creating an object for this Toyota car, it would save the fact that it is gray in color, it has 4 wheels, and that it can brake and accelerate in this memory space that I have created for it. So every object carries 2 main things. First one is state. In Java, these are the attributes or data members. And this is what the object knows or holds. For example, gray color or 4 wheels. The second thing is behavior. In Java, we call them as methods or member functions. And this is what the object does. In the case of the Toyota car, it brake or accelerate. So where does class come into play? Right? Now, in simple terms, I can say, so where does class come into play? Now, in simple terms, I can say a class is a group of objects that share common properties and relationships. So, class is a group of objects that share common properties and relationships. For example, in the previous example, we saw this Toyota car. Now, I've added images of other cars as well. This is a BMW, this is a Porsche, and this is a Toyota, correct? So what is consistent between all of them? All of them are cars, right? So the fact car, I can say, is the class. Under the class car, we have our Toyota, we have our Porsche, and we have our BMW, right? So objects are instances of a class. You need to remember this exact phrasings. Objects, these are objects. Each of these cars are objects of, each of these cars, which are objects, are instances or examples of my class car. Makes sense? So if I'm talking about the definition of what a class is, I can say a class is a blueprint or prototype for creating objects of a certain kind or similar kind. And this statement is very important. Object is an instance of a class. So now we know objects and their classes. We need to now create them in Java. To create a class in Java, we need to use this syntax. This is the syntax for creating a class in Java. So here we have class. This is a keyword. You can't change that. Class. Class name. This is changeable. You can write whatever name you want. So in this case, I can say car or employee, whatever. Right? And then you open up your parenthesis, and this is your class body. Now, remember a couple slides before I discussed the same thing, and that is what this means. So class is your keyword, and then the class name is whatever you want it to be, car, employee, whatever. And then you open your parenthesis for the class body. Perfect. Okay, now let's do a quick example. Suppose I want to store information of all the employees in my company, right? I want to store their name. I want to store their age, which department they belong to, and the salary of each individual. Now, this employee is going to be my class, right? This is my class. Now, I have, say, 3 different employees. Employee A, B, and C, right? Each employee is what is called as an object. So employee A is an object, B is a separate object, and C is another object. Each of them have different names, ages, departments, and salaries, right? Okay, so let's look at how to create a Java program to depict this information here. Now we start with our format. So we start with listing class, the keyword, and here employee, which is the class that we need. And then inside that, we list down all the attributes that we want our objects to have. In this case, name, age, department, salary. So correspondingly, I've given what data type they are, string, int, string, and double. We will look at exactly what data types are in the next video. You might already know them. Just know them as string, int, string, double data types. Now look at what comes before that. You look at this set of public return. What is this? This is what is called as an access specifier. An access specifier. Now, what exactly is an access specifier? So, what exactly are access specifiers? Access specifiers are keywords that control the accessibility of variables, classes, or methods in Java. Now, if you look at examples, we have 4 main access specifiers in Java: private, default, protected, and public. Now, let's look at the first one, private. Now, if I say in this example over here, we said public string name, right? Now, suppose it had been private string name. What would have happened? That variable string name, right, would have been accessible. That string name would have been accessible only in the same class. Suppose I'm creating another class, then I won't be able to access that name variable in the next class, right? The other one is default. So suppose I don't write anything, I just leave it blank, right? I just write int age, for example. What happens is it by default becomes the default specifier. Now, in that case, what happens is such variables or methods or function or classes are accessible only inside the same class and same package. Now, what exactly is a package? A package is like a folder. So a lot of similar classes can be put inside a package. Okay. Now, the other type is protected. Now, a protected variable method of class is accessible within the same class, within the same package, and also within the same subclass. And we will learn what a subclass is later on in the inheritance classes that we have coming on. Just remember for now that is accessible in the same class, same package, and a subclass via inheritance. The last access specifier that we need to know is public. Now, public is accessible anywhere. It is accessible in the same class, the same package, subclass, or just different package in itself. So that is what a public access specifier is. And what it allows us to do, what these access specifiers allow us to do is it allows us to control where our specific variable, method, or class is accessible within. Now you'll understand exactly how effective these are later on in our further sessions in inheritance. Right, now that we know how to define a class, we need to look at how to define an object. Now this is the format to defining an object. Class name, object name equals new class name. So class name is whatever class name that we've given. It could be car, it could be employee, whatever. Object name is again anything that we want to give. Say employee A's name is Melito, then I can give object name is Melito, right? And the new is a keyword. You can't change that. You have to just put it there. Class name and class name and then brackets. So here again, you put the same class name that you gave employee. Make sure you put these brackets and then semicolon. This is the format. This is the syntax to creating an object in Java. We're going to look back to our example that we just viewed here. I'm just going to zoom that. Right. So till here we have already learned this is an object that we've created. Employee, which is the class name. Melito is the object name. So this is say person A equal new. This is keyword. You can't change that. And then you again write your class name, again employee, add the brackets, and then semicolon. And that is how you create an object. Now, this is the very basic. There's so much more that you have to learn to so that you can actually use these objects. Now, there's so much more that you need to know so that you can use these objects that you've created. We will be discussing that in the next videos that are coming up. This is all for this video. Thank you so much for joining in, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.